Good afternoon, everybody. This is Alex Borak from Inbox 25, Marketing Automation Made Easy. Thanks for attending today's webinar, Using Marketing Automation Without a CRM. At the end of today's webinar, there will be a short Q&A. If at any point during the webinar you have a question, just throw it into the chat bubble. I will get to as many as I can, and any questions that I don't answer, I will follow up in an email after the demonstration. Today's webinar is being recorded live and will be up for further viewing on our knowledge base as well as on our YouTube channel. So let's get into the general agenda for today. So first, I'm going to go into a comparison of, without having a CRM, pros versus cons. Then I will go into how Inbox 25 will function without a CRM. Next, I'll go into best approaches to setting up and preparing your Inbox 25 platform using lists without a CRM. And then I'll talk about some best practices for implementation, and then we'll get into the demonstration portion of the webinar. So, Inbox prides itself on its integration with Sugar CRM and Sweet CRM. However, for users who either do not have a CRM or are considering adopting a CRM but want to start using marketing automation immediately, Inbox 25 certainly supports the functionality to be used as a standalone platform. So here's a good question to think about. What do you stand to lose or gain by not having or moving away from a CRM? See, it's hard to identify clearly what you're missing or what is being gained when looking at a CRM from a high-level overview. So for today, I'm going to focus on using a CRM as purely a data repository for marketing purposes. Because as you may or may not know, a CRM can be used for many different functions, sales tracking, simple customer relationship management, as is what it's called, as well as just housing data to report on. So in a nutshell, anything that is related to connecting with or pushing information to the CRM, that is what you will be missing. So let's do a quick pro v con list, and let's start with the cons. So first and foremost, there will be a loss of data connection with the CRM. You will no longer be in a bidirectional sync with Sugar and Inbox 25, so that will be lost. Anything tracking related to opportunities, the calls, or the meetings module, that will no longer be usable. You will no longer be able to route leads to specific Sugar or Sweet CRM users. And any changes made inside the CRM, whether internal or external, will not be reflected inside the platform any longer. Not too many cons, so now let's look at the pros. Well, pros is you no longer need to worry about performance issues with the CRM. Since you are no longer connected with the CRM, it's only worrying about Inbox 25. You don't have to worry about installing or configuring a module to the CRM, making sure it's the correct module, making sure it's the correct user of the CRM that you're configuring it with, and also making sure that all users that are creating, editing, or deleting record data have the Inbox 25 module configured. Well, you can also say bye-bye to overhead costs related to maintaining or developing the CRM, and you can start saying hello to savings. Time that's being dedicated to troubleshooting issues related to data not being pulled or received correctly from the CRM, issues related to plugins with the CRM, anything that has to do with the CRM not functioning properly or as correctly as it should be, gone. Needing to toggle between multiple platforms, so between the CRM and the marketing automation platform, or between the CRM and multiple other plugins that will relate back to the marketing automation platform, no more. And without having CRM, you are in complete control over the flow and structure of your data. Manual input is required, as you will see in a little bit, because you'll no longer be using CRM lists, and you will be using marketing lists or subscriber lists, depending on your Inbox 25 paid plan. So now let's talk about the functionality that you will now be able to use with Inbox 25 without a CRM. So instead of syncing Inbox 25 with a database such as a CRM, users will be uploading lists into Inbox 25. For our email marketer users, you will be uploading subscriber lists. For our pro marketer users, you will be uploading marketing lists. The list format is the same, whether it be a CSV file or a tab delimited file, but the purpose or function of the list will differ depending on your Inbox 25 plan. Segmenting data using Inbox 25 tags will be your best friend, as you'll see in a little bit. Records can be associated with unlimited tags, so you will be using automation to add tags, or you can leverage the tag as a conditional statement in automated workflows. It works very similar to sugar or sweet CRM target lists, and that's how you will be utilizing it and should be thinking of it as such. Creation of drip and nurture campaigns are still completely functional, and you will also be able to build off of campaign responses, whether they open or do not open, for multi-step marketing campaigns. You will still have access to all the other tools of the platform, including Site Monitor or a visitor tracking tool, landing pages and forms, as well as lead scoring. Not to mention that you will be able to maintain the ability to integrate with the other third-party applications that we allow you to connect with. For example, Zendesk, GoToWebinar, Twilio, LiveChat, Olar, Google Analytics, so on and so forth. Another thing is you will still be able to configure Inbox 25 sub-users, and with this approach, it will be more important to make sure that the permissions are configured appropriately and correctly. All right. So now that we've covered the pros and cons, and I've also gone from a high-level overview what you'll get functionality-wise from Inbox 25 as a standalone platform, let's talk about a good approach to set up and prepare with my suggestions to make implementation of the platform easier for you. So, first and foremost, and I cannot emphasize this enough, planning is absolutely key to this, and it is key to a successful adoption of the platform. You need to start to plan from a data structure as well as from a marketing perspective. And yes, these two can be separate and can also come hand in hand. From a data structure perspective, you want to make sure that the data you want is being used for a specific purpose. It's not in there for fluff. It's not in there for no reason. The data, whether you want it to be used for automation, for lead scoring, for segmentation, or simply for personalization. You want to plan out the data fields that you will need from these three perspectives, and that is from the marketing perspective. Then you need to look at, well, what data fields will I possibly need in the future? So you have your initial data structure in place, and you start to formulate a marketing plan to implement this in conjunction with your data structure. Now you need to understand, okay, so now that I have my initial setup, what can I foresee that I will need in the future to leverage for automation, for lead scoring, for personalization, for segmentation? So it's very important to keep that in the back of your mind, and if possible, implement that into your original data structure. Also keep in mind for future data fields that you may need to implement, since you can map form submissions to a marketing list, any data fields that would be corresponding to a question or information that you would like a lead to provide you via a landing page or form embedded on your site. This will cut down tremendously on time spent after initial data import to make these additions and corrections to your data structure. Next is organization. You want to make sure that you have properly organized and named your data fields appropriately. Now, when I'm talking about data fields, because you're using Inbox 25 as a standalone platform, and this is for both our users, email or pro marketer, when you're uploading a list into the platform, think of the columns of your Excel spreadsheet as data fields. So the first row of the column, typically the name of that column, that will be what you want to name your data field. Because when you upload it, that's how we're matching columns to the corresponding data associated with them. So with that analogy, consider each row a record or a lead. Now, it's also important to keep in mind from an organizational standpoint, it's generally a best practice to keep all of your data in one master list. However, we can certainly support multiple marketing lists. Just from a segmentation purpose, it's generally good to have just one central database, and then you can work off of that to make additions or corrections or update the list appropriately. Finally, you need to identify, and this correlates into the organization part, how many lists you would like to import. As I mentioned, whether it be a master list or whether you want to segment your database into a few other lists, that is what you need to figure out, and you need to deem what is necessary. If you feel in the future that you're going to need to sort of cross-sell, upsell, or sort of merge info from these lists, well, then it would have been the best practice to just have a marketing list and make a master marketing list and make additions from that point. So obviously the choice is yours. Just understand that each marketing list is unique and is traded as such. So just to give you an example, if you have John Smith at AOL.com across 3 different marketing lists using the same email address, well, then John Smith at AOL.com will be counted as 3 or more active targets because each marketing list is unique and separate. Great. So now that you have some insight onto how best set up and prepare for implementation, well, now how can you go about implementing the solution properly? Well, first and foremost, this is related back to your lists. If there will be any manual input to a list outside the platform after you've uploaded it, you will eventually need to update your marketing list with the new data. So just to reiterate, any change to a CSV file that is external, meaning Inbox 25 has no input on it, you will need to go into your list manager and update that list accordingly. Once you do that, the updated data will be contained within that marketing list. So as a best practice for implementation, maybe you want to schedule a time every day. Maybe as soon as you walk in, you go in, you update the list, and then you can go grab yourself a cup of coffee while the update commences. So as I mentioned before, Inbox 25 tags will be your new best friend. They will be used frequently, and they will be used for various purposes, whether to add people into a workflow or to segment people that have a specific tag. So tags can be used as a condition or as an action within your automation wizard. Tags can also be used to score your leads if they have a tag associated with them. Another good implementation tip is if you think up of a data field you'd like to add onto your marketing list for a specific purpose after the fact of data import. For example, you want to gauge the activeness of your leads, right? So maybe you'll create a data field in your marketing list called, I don't know, active status. And then to mass update the entire list with a default value, you can create a workflow to update all records with the value of, I don't know, active or null or 0, whatever you want to put in order for you to identify that all of these leads are equal. And as they accrue points or as they complete engagements or specific information is provided or if they're completing activities, you can then use automation to update that data field with a new value. Some examples would be, I don't know, if the lead did not open your first 2 introductory emails after 2 weeks, maybe you want to then update the field with inactive. Vice versa, if the lead converts on your form or, to use the same example, opens either of those 2 intro emails, then maybe you want to change the value of that field to active. Excellent. Okay, so now that we got through the presentation, I want to take you into the Inbox 25 platform. All right, so here we are. And today, going to do this a little differently. Typically, our webinars, we are presenting inside Sugar CRM, but because in today's webinar, we do not have a CRM, you will see me using Inbox 25 via direct web access. Okay, so here I am. This is the Inbox 25 dashboard. So I want to go over to my list manager. And I just want to take you into the marketing list that I uploaded today. So here is my master list. Awesome. So I have a few records in here. We have Albert Einstein, a great genius of his time, and we have a few custom data fields. Let me take you into how this data structure looks. So when you're uploading a marketing list, we do provide a few stock data fields for you to map your columns to. Very basic information: name, email address, title, company name, lead source. Now, I've also created a few custom data fields of my own, and as you can see, it's very easy, just simply adding a field and determining the field type. So I've created a few product fields, customer status. I actually mirrored the example I provided just a minute ago and have the data field of active status, lead source type, mobile, as well as product interested in. So I want to go back here. Now, I discussed a little bit ago that if you want to be able to add or update the existing CSV with new data or updated data, to do that, you simply go to the list manager as you saw me do, click your specific list, the master list, and then you go to add, update, or remove list data. So now, if it's just simply new data that you're adding onto a master list, then you will click I will add records to my master list by, and then you can either do it manually or import a CSV. As a rule of thumb, generally you want to add the same CSV that you've been using so that it's sort of uniform, and it's just simply adding the new data in that CSV. However, if you did add other columns to the CSV that you want to include in this marketing list with data relevant to new records, then you can use the I will add, update, remove records to master list by. So I actually created not created a CSV, but I updated a CSV just with simply new records, same data fields. So I'm actually going to choose the I will add records to master list by. And I'm going to choose import records from a file. And if you uploaded a marketing or subscriber list before, this process will seem very familiar to you. It's very similar to just simply uploading a list. So we're always going to ask you to make sure that all this record has definitely opted in. It's good, clean data. Great, awesome, next. We're now going to ask you, would you like to add new data fields? Well, because I'm only adding new records, I don't need to add any new data fields. So we'll just go to next. And then I'll just simply choose my file. My file should be up at the top here. Here we go. Open. Perfect. And then I will click import. So there we go. Now I just need to map the columns to their corresponding data fields. So I'll just go through this really quickly with you. Email. Mobile goes to mobile. Title goes with title, so on and so forth. And it's very important that you're mapping the correct column with the corresponding pertinent data field. So, product A, product B, product C, and just bear with me here, customer status, and last but not least, active status. Great. So next. Awesome. Perfect. All done. So now let's go into automation. So prior to the demo, I actually created sort of a comprehensive marketing strategy for someone who was using a marketing list. So I'm targeting the same master list, and I just want to take you through the workflows that I compiled. So just as a background, I created a marketing list, and I'm a company with 3 products, products A, B, and C. And I have a landing page on my site, simple contact form, and I can take that to you right now, actually. Let's start with the landing page first. As you can see, I named it using Mux 25 without a CRM. And I'm asking pretty basic information. So, your name, your email, company name, title, mobile contact number, what services are you interested in, and then, of course, everyone who fills out my form, I want to be notified that the lead source was the website, and I have a custom data field in my marketing list, lead source type, and I want to be notified that they came from the contact form. So I've already covered my bases in terms of the inbound strategy, so now I know clearly where all of my leads are coming from. As you can see, I've mapped my landing page to the marketing list, so all form submissions will be passed on to that. Great. So now let's leave this page and go back to automations. All right. So the first automated workflow deals with the inbound marketing process. And this is anyone in my marketing list who converts on that particular form, and they've provided a mobile number. Now you'll see that I used mobile does not equal, and I put a bunch of random characters here. So this is a neat little trick, and the purpose of this is assuming the mobile field will be blank, because I don't know who this lead is. I will never know who this lead is until they fill out the form. So once they fill out the form, I'm asking them to fill out their mobile number, but it's not being required because I want them to fill out the form. I don't want them to be bogged down with, oh, I have to provide this information in order to submit. So it's very basic. So I'm giving them the option to provide their mobile. So by default, the mobile field for any lead will be blank. Now, the reason I'm using does not equal, and I put a bunch of special characters, is anyone who fills out that form, I'm willing to wager that their mobile number is not going to equal at %% up caret number sign. So when the data field becomes from a null or blank state to something input, the system will pick up on that in real time, and once the system recognizes that that data field does not equal this value, the record will be plugged in to the workflow. Great. So these are my two conditions, and it's linked by an AND because both must be met in order for the person to be put through this workflow. So the first action that's being executed is actually adding a tag of mobile provided. Next, I'm actually using the Twilio integration to send an SMS that's a little personal because I'm actually pulling in their first name. Next, I'm updating a data field in my marketing list with the active status, and I'm updating to the value of active. As I mentioned before, directly straight out of the example I provided. Last but not least, I am now updating the customer status to non-customer because this person has not purchased anything yet. They've simply filled out a form. So just from this one workflow, I've now created 4 different marketing paths that I can take. One being a customer who is active, or vice versa, inactive, and a lead who is a non-customer versus a lead who is a customer. I've also unlocked a 5th path, and that is by anyone with the tag mobile provided. Now, the reason I added the tag mobile provided is directly because we do allow you to maintain your third-party integrations, i.e. Twilio. So if at any point in time I have a new promotion coming up, I have just a quick little message that I want to send out to people who have provided their mobile phone number, I will now be able to target the segment of my database that have provided their mobile number. So that's my inbound strategy. So next, I have lead became a customer. And as you can see, 10 targets were hit. And this is due because I just actually updated and added the marketing list that you just saw before. So for this one, this is if someone has purchased product A, someone who has purchased product B. As you can see here, I'm using the same operator, does not equal, because the data field will natively be blank. And they, oops, let me try that again, is null. Sorry about that, folks. And then let's match all. Great. So if product A is purchased, if product B is purchased, but product C isn't, and let's just change that, just not to confuse anybody. Perfect. First, what I want to do? Well, I want to change them to a customer because they've now purchased. Very simple. So now, branching from before, if I have a workflow that I decide to target my customers, I can now certainly do that because I have a workflow which is targeting customers. Now I can make this all-encompassing, and I can simply make it an any, and just if any product is purchased, that's completely fine. And I can change this back to does not equal, and then just put in a few random characters. So now if any product is purchased, they will become a customer. But as you can see, and as you just saw, I can also segment if I just want either or. Okay, so that is my customer workflow. So I actually did create a branch for non-customers. So if a target is a non-customer, I'm going to put them through a content stream, sending them 3 emails, multiple times weekly, twice a week, on Tuesday and Friday at 11 a.m. So the idea behind this is a brand awareness campaign to hopefully turn these non-customers into customers. Very simple, very simple. I have another workflow that is targeting very specific geolocation. So anyone who's located in New York of the United States, I'm simply adding a tag of New York lead, so I can use for further segmentation purposes down the road. One other workflow I created is if product A and product B are purchased, well, I'd like to let the recipient know about product C. So let me just preview that for you. So learn about our amazing, wonderful product C. After 10 years, it's finally out. And as you can see here, I started using personalization inside my email campaign. So anyone who's provided a mobile number and, of course, has provided their name, that will populate with their full name and with the mobile number provided. Great. So I'm sending product C email. Now I'm waiting for 3 days. If that email is not opened, I'm going to wait a few minutes, and then I'm going to send the same email, but with a different subject line. I'm going to wait a week. If that's not opened, well, then I'm going to update the active status field of the marketing list to inactive. Okay, so now I was in the midst of building a workflow, and I didn't want to finish it yet because I wanted you to see another way to use Inbox 25 without a CRM. So let's go into this workflow that I started, and let's complete it together. So this workflow is using the scoreboard as a condition, specifically scorecard. So if a lead accrued at least 10 points via the marketing list scorecard, well, first I want to add a tag of warm lead, right? What do I want to do after that? Well, if they're a warm lead, I would assume that you want to send a different sort of marketing communication, one that's more not really trying to sell them, but something that's just sort of, hey, thank you for your interest. We value your feedback, your suggestions, as well as your engagement with us, something along those lines. So we can wait any amount of time, let's just say 2 days, because you want to tier your email sending a little so that your leads are not being spammed. You don't want to lose them by them receiving an email a day, every day for the rest of their life. So for some of the workflows, as you saw, emails are being sent out immediately, and for others, they're being sent out after a period of time. So let's do 2 days for this one. And then, well, what do you want to do? Do I want to send them that email now? Do I want to put them through a content stream of just a simple stay in touch with us? Let's just do a simple single send email action. Do I want to use previously created content, or do I want to create it from scratch? Just for the sake of time, let's just start using an email that's been deployed before. And let me just quickly complete the setup for you. And there you go. So after 2 days, after someone accrues 10 points, they will receive Now, of course, this isn't as much of a real-world example because you don't really want to notify the lead, hey, thanks for engaging with us. It's more like, hey, would you like to have a conversation? So the reason I wanted to go through this workflow and finish it together is because, well, I'm using a very specific condition, scorecard. So I actually went ahead and I created a scorecard specifically for my marketing list. So let's go into this, and I will show you the rules that I created. Using lead scoring in conjunction with automation is definitely key. And because you are using a marketing list and you're not connected with a CRM, lead scoring becomes that much more important and that much more functional for you. So I have a very basic, anyone who opens an email campaign, well, they're going to be scored 33 times, and they'll get 3 points each time, because I have many emails going out. If they filled out that specific landing page, they're getting 10 points. If they are an active lead, so they have the equal status active, they're going to get 5 points. If the mobile has been provided, well, that's a little more important, so they're going to get 15 points because now I'm able to SMS as well as email market to them. For those leads who are specifically located in New York, that's more priority, so I gave them 10 points. And of course, if a lead is a customer, that is a bell ringer, so they get 25 points. So as you see here, I created a scorecard that sort of has 3 tiers of scoring. An open campaign, well, that's someone raising their hand, but not as much as a significant call to action. So they're just going to continue to be scored via 3 points so that I know increments of 3. If I see the score of the lead and it's not in a 5 or 10 multiple, well, then I know that they're opening my email. If they filled out my contact form, that's definitely a good starting point. So they're going to get 10 points, a little more than 3. If they're active, they're going to get 5 because, well, if they're opening my email campaigns, that means they're active. So, I mean, although they're not necessarily will be closer to being a sales-ready lead, well, I definitely want to be notified that they are active. And then, of course, the 3 rules up here, a little more important. And, of course, the star of the show is if the lead is a customer. Awesome. So, as I mentioned before, you can maintain your integrations. Doesn't matter if you have a CRM, if you have a marketing list, that's completely fine. So let's take it to the integration. So let's say I was using live chat. So as you see here, I'm currently mapped to my Sugar CRM leads, but because I don't have a CRM any longer, I can certainly map chat transcripts to my marketing list, or as I call it, my master list. And just to reinforce and make sure that everyone is clear, just go to another integration, Zendesk, and boom, I can map that to my marketing master list as well. So let's go back into automation and let me quickly show you what is missing, just so everyone's not scared. So when you're building an automated workflow, folks, you will first be met with your conditions. So you see there's a bunch of conditions that are grayed out. And the reason these are grayed out is because these conditions directly pertain to the CRM. So as you can see, these will no longer be functional if you are using a marketing list. And that's from the condition standpoint. From the action standpoint, let me just quickly add a minute to there so you can see the actions. So same thing, 6 actions are grayed out. So no routing leads to your agents, no adding to a target list or creating a task, converting them, or creating a call an opportunity. But just look at the vast array of actions and conditions that you can still leverage for your greater marketing strategy. So I have a pretty good basis for my marketing strategy using a marketing list. I can advance upon this multiple different ways. Just to reiterate, with the way I managed my list, I can now tell if a lead is active or inactive with my marketing campaigns. I can tell if a lead is a customer or not a customer. I can tell which products they've purchased. I can tell which products they're interested in. And of course, I can gain their mobile number so that I can send an SMS to them. And just to show you, I want to go to Albert Einstein's timeline profile so I can show you everything that happened. So Albert Einstein, good fellow, he has 41 total points, and he's already in my identified lead lifecycle stage. And this is everything that's been done with him. So an SMS was sent successfully. This was the message behind the text. There you go. There's the personalization tag that was used, first name, and everything from the inception of him, from when he was seen to when he visited and converted on the landing page. Now, a really neat thing when using a marketing list, you can actually update info about the record right from this view. So just to reiterate, I went to timeline profile of my most recent leads. If I wanted to, I could also search by their name or email. I was then entered into the timeline activity stream. I navigated to profile, and now I have free range to update the data fields as I see fit. So, if I got off the phone with Albert, I just closed the sale with him. He's now a customer. So let me edit the data field. So now he is a customer, and the change is reflected immediately. So on and so forth. So, just as a quick recap before I start taking questions, there are many channels that information from a database can be updated. If you are using an external database that is spitting out reports of Excel spreadsheets or CSVs, just make sure that you're maintaining a good, clean list and exercising proper data hygiene. If your external database is spitting out numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 associated with the name, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 John Smith, well, then you either want to work with the external database or remove that before importing it into Inbox 25. As mentioned before, any external changes that are happening not reflected by or inside Inbox 25, all you simply need to do is take the same CSV that's been added or updated, go into your list manager, select the appropriate list, and update it accordingly. As you see, everyone has now been added to that master list. Any other tips that I can provide? Oh, yes. As I cannot emphasize as much as I can, planning is absolutely key when using marketing lists. As you can see, CSV files can be very easily manipulated, and you are in more control of the data structure. So just make sure that you are exercising caution and that everything has been planned, communicated with, and implemented correctly. Okay, so now I will entertain some questions. All right, I don't see any questions here, so let me just go over through a few frequently asked questions that have been asked in the past. So one frequently asked question is, what if I have an email address, same email address across two marketing lists? Will they be considered active targets? The answer is yes. Each marketing list is unique, and if you are a CRM user, another way to look at it is they are specific CRM lists, whether it be lead, contact, account, whatever it may be. So if johnsmith at AOL.com is located across multiple marketing lists, then johnsmith at AOL.com will be considered as multiple active targets. Now, of course, as a ProMarketer user, you are in absolute control over who is active and who is not. So if you only want John Smith at AOL.com to be active under one marketing list, then you can certainly go into the others and make him inactive. Another frequently asked question is, can I merge two marketing lists together via Inbox 25? The answer is no. Because you're using CSV, marketing lists are static and separate, unique lists. So if you wish to merge two marketing lists together, then a best approach would be to do that inside of a CSV outside and then upload it into the platform accordingly. It's also important to understand that a master list is definitely preferred over smaller sub-marketing lists, because if you do need to do some cross-selling, upselling, or just need to target multiple segments of your list, well, then you will need to create multiple workflows targeting each specific marketing list. And wouldn't it be easier if you could just create one workflow that's either leveraging a tag or a value within a data field within that marketing list? Another frequently asked question is, well, how does the unsubscribe work when you're using marketing lists? Well, a marketing list is a marketing automation list. So we will be using the one-click unsubscribe. So when leads unsubscribe from email campaigns, they are being unsubscribed from all marketing communications. So it's very important to use the settings under your account and go to campaign settings and go to unsubscribe options so that you can configure a very personal unsubscribe link to clearly let the leads know that by unsubscribing, they will be unsubscribing from all marketing communications, not just that specific campaign. All right. And one other frequently asked question is, if I am using an integration such as LiveChat or Lark, how can I make sure that it will map into the marketing list correctly, and how will I leverage that for further automation or lead scoring? Well, that is a great question. First and foremost, the lead scoring in this specific case is a little separate from the automation. Lead scoring is universal when looking at live chats, and you're able to configure the rule very specifically, whether it be a live chat message or session ended after a specific date. You can segment further by agent and as well as the type of chat, whether you want to target the duration, any keywords, phrases, or tags used, as well as if there was a specific rating within the chat. Now, when we look at automation, as you saw before, you can map chat transcripts to a specific marketing list. So when using automation, you will just target the marketing list associated with the integration. All right, I'll just give a few more seconds for some other last-minute questions. Let's see. All right, it looks like all questions have been answered. Guys, thank you very much for attending today's webinar, Using Marketing Automation Without a CRM. Please look forward to our other webinars coming up in the near future, and sign up if you haven't done so already. Thank you for joining me on this lovely Thursday afternoon. This is Alex with Inbox 25, signing off.